I'm Rabbi Deanna Douglas, and
I am Cantor Elizabeth Anchor.
HaShana Tova. Happy New Year. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos. Good Yantif. Good Yor. These familiar words each year are ones that always bring us together. And we are together this year, even though we're not. As they used to say, through the magic of television. And now it's through the magic of the internet. To acknowledge that this has been a difficult year is a gross understatement. And yet we're here. We're here in some fashion with each other. Different is not necessarily bad. It's different. Of course, we could all dwell on the terrible things of this past year and how this terrible disease has kept us from being together physically. But right now, I'd rather dwell on something else. Because of the internet and because of YouTube and the work of so many people who shall be named later, my sister Patty in San Diego and her children and grandchildren can see me lead services for the very first time ever. Some of you in far-flung places, California, Tucson, Florida, whether because you've moved over the bridge or have not been able to return, you're here. And so we can celebrate together in some fashion. I know that Cantor has a few words to say to you before we actually begin. And so I'll let her interrupt me and I'll conclude in a second.
I want to invite you to sing along on everything you like because, we can't hear you. So, Rabindranath Tagore once said, God respects me when I work, but God loves me when I sing. So, sing. It's good for your health to breathe deeply. Lifting our voices is the way we Jews pray. One of the silver linings of doing the services in this way is that we can show you the words to some of the songs that are not in the prayer book. You'll notice that some of the prayers are shortened. This is completely Rabbi sanctioned. Rabbi, do you want to?
Yes, I will say a little bit more about that, but not too much. Rabbi Larry Hoffman, who was my wonderful teacher of liturgy, and who probably knows more about Jewish liturgy than anyone else alive, held a wonderful webinar for rabbis, giving us the courage and the permission to think about what is really essential in these holiday services and focus on that alone. And so that is what Cantor and I have tried to do. So right now, really all I want to say is Happy New Year. And may the good year, may this be a good year for all of us.
So actually, Rabbi, I wasn't quite done, so I'm going to keep going. We are doing all the major parts of the service while keeping in a shorter time frame. Although we all love to see each other in person, watching by Zoom or watching your computer is neurologically tiring. So while we're here, look around, look at nature, look at the people in your vicinity, and refer back to the screen when you like. You don't have to watch us like we're a TV show. We will now sing Hine Ma Tov, how good and how pleasant brothers and sisters gathered together. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achot gam yachad,
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחות גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחות גם יחד.
The poem, Start Fresh. Summer's gone. Nights grow cold. These are days of awe. The shofar blows. With bread in hand down to the sea, we take time, we give thanks, and we cast our sadness free. That we may start afresh, that we may come clear, that we may know sweetness and peace throughout the year, that we may find love where we need it most, and open our hearts and our hands and draw each other close. A day to fast and count the ways we've promised and fallen short. And we meet each other's gaze. Begin again. Life won't wait. Time returns, and to return and walk on through the gates. Under the moon, a roof of trees, we bring in the harvest. Beneath the stars we eat and sing for joy. Make ourselves strong. We'll reap what we've sown. May it last all year long. That we may start afresh, that we may come clear, that we may know sweetness and peace throughout the year, that we may find love where we need it most, and open our hearts and our hands and draw each other close. We invite Linda Pearson to lead us in the candle blessing.
All the stars are hidden, and the moon is dark tonight. In the wide expanse of heaven, north to south, not a ray of light. Light a bright candle in my heart's shadowed tent, and through the wide expanse of heaven, the light will shine. Where there is sadness, let us offer love. Where there is fear, let us reach for hope. On this eve of the new year, may we bring light to one another. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might. Teach us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Shabbat and this festival.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. We continue with the Shabbat prayer, Lachadodi, which my mother sang to herself as she was baking challah. She never got through the whole song, but now I know the whole song and you can sing it with me. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, p'nei Shabbat nekabla. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Well, before we get to the actual announcement of the year, I want to acknowledge in a poem and in a prayer how difficult this year has been, how this virus has taken over our lives, and what we really need from this new year. Av Harachamim, God of mercy, we ask for guidance and support. Grant victims of this disease the strength to persevere. Grant caregivers the courage to heal. Grant researchers and experts the insight to solve this crisis. Grant medical providers the abilities to heal all who suffer. Grant officials to speak the truth and not to violate public trust. Bless us with the strength to remain calm. Allow us to not use fear and suspicion as paths to xenophobia, selfishness, or isolation. Grant us empathy for those afflicted throughout the world. Giver of life, grant us serenity in moments of uncertainty. Give us the ability to help the vulnerable as effectively as we can. May we support those working on a solution for this disease. May we all use this time as an opportunity to realize the fragility of life and to strive to make the most of our short time here. May it be your will, Ribono Shel Olam, that we continue to strive to overcome this very new challenge. Like many problems in the past that we thought were impossible, help us to overcome this new trial and give us the opportunity to work for the welfare of all humanity, for the sanctity of all life. May you be here with us in this trying time, and let us all say, Amen. And so, in that aspect of solemnity, we turn to the announcement of the new year. Cantor.
תיקו וחודש שופר בכסל יום חגנו לחוק ישראל הוא משפט לאלוהי יעקב.
Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, yehi ratzon shenizkeh levirchotecha bishnat chameshet alafim sheva me'ot shmonim va'achat. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in this year of 5,781. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness, peace, comfort, and courage, resilience, and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year. It stretches now long before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life.
Join me in the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
The quickening of the moon calls us to return, and so we gather, seam dwellers on the edge of the earth. As the sun lowers itself into the sea, introspection rises. A sliver cracks the heart of the firmament. The vast blackness, an invitation to write ourselves anew. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'ariv Aravi.
Avat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Avta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Aken Adonai Eloheinu V'shochbeinu v'kumeinu Nasiach b'chokecha V'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ונשיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
There were no signs. By walking, I found out where I was going. By intensely hating, how to love. By loving, whom and what to love. By grieving, how to laugh from the belly. Out of infirmity, I have built strength. Out of untruth, truth. From hypocrisy, I wove directness. Almost now, I know who I am. Almost, I have the boldness to be that person. Another step, and I shall be where I started from. Baruch atah Adonai, Gaal Yisrael.
Join me in singing Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom. Vehamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך. And because it's Shabbat, we get to sing V'shamru together. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'shamru בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Once more, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
A personal prayer. Know before whom you stand. You can't rush a prayer to God. If it comes from the heart, it will rush out all on its own. Speed through receding galaxies or silences in the soul, and God will hear. Honesty will all. But speaking to God is different. Mine the soul. Mine the soul for your coal and gems and regular earth. No pretense. And God will hear. Don't force the prayer or string words together. Pause. Perhaps better not to pray. Silence will be a message of awe. And God will hear. Now, step off into the very deep, beyond the way of prayer. We glimpse unknown magnificence of God. No more, or we would be stunned into silence. Except that love makes itself small. We could not pray at all.
We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkada v'yitkada Shemei Rabbah b'yom divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayedechol Beit Yisrael Bagav izman kariv erimru Amen Yesh merabah mevarach le'olam olam me'amaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yinaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha bariku le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiron be'alma v'imru Amen.
And we continue with the tefillah. And you will notice that what the cantor and I have done have focused on the core of the tefillah, not the one for every day and not the one for Shabbat, but the one for these holy days.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatenu. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Zachrenu l'chaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chotvenu b'sefer ha'chaim, v'chotvenu b'sefer ha'chaim, lamancha Elohim chaim. Melech Ozer Mashiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Amen.
Inscribe us in the book of life. For us, the book of life has been reduced to words of casual welcome, spoken or written on cards. L'shana tova tikatevu. May you be inscribed for a good year. The book of life. I wonder, is that all it means today? When I hear those words have a meaning to me. I do not see a ledger in the sky wherein my fate is written. I do not see a place where my name is written, signed, sealed, and delivered. Nor do I see some greeting card bedecked with gaily colored scenes, where on the bottom line, in unpointed Hebrew, appear the words, L'shana tova tikatevu. The book of life to me is a symbol. It says to me, you are recorded. What you say is more than words whispered into the wind. What you are is something more than pebbles on a beach. What you do has an effect.
Please sing with me the prayer of peace, Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol HaShalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. בספר חיים ברכה ושלום, ופרנסה טובה נזכר. וניכתב לפניך אנחנו, וכל עמך בית ישראל. לחיים טובים, לחיים טובים, ושלום. ברוך אתה אדוני, עושה שלום.
I was never able to pray. Wheel me down to the shore, where the lighthouse was abandoned and the moon tolls in the rafters. Let me hear the wind paging through the trees and see the stars flaring out one by one, like the forgotten faces of the dead. I was never able to pray, but let me inscribe my name in the book of waves. And then stare into the dome of a sky that never ends and see my voice sail into the night. And so we come to the high point of the Erev Rosh Hashanah service, the first of many times that we will hear or recite Avinu Malkeinu. For many years, we feminists struggled about how to deal with the title, Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. It didn't feel right. And what we eventually decided was to leave it in the Hebrew, because sometimes translations don't help. Sometimes the words are mantra-like and have power all by themselves. And so we turn to Avinu Malkeinu. Cantor.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, V'yalol aleinu, V'chapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kal dever v'cherev rav me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kal kol tsar u'mastin me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Cod Havurah b'sefer chaim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh aleinu, Chodesh aleinu, Shana tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Harem, Harem, Keren, Yisrael Amecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, chanenu v'anenu, ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, chanenu v'anenu, ki ein banu masim.
When is Rosh Hashanah? Calendars are interesting human creations. What's the date? It depends. If you're wondering why I'm asking this tonight, there's a wonderful story in Talmud. The angels go to God and ask, Master of the universe, when is Rosh Hashanah this year? God looks at the angels and asks, why ask me? And points earthward. Ask them. They made the calendar. So we know the date, the 1st of Tishri. We announced the day about a half an hour ago. But I'll ask again. What's the date? Which calendar are you thinking? If it's the secular calendar, today is September 18th, 2020. Maybe memorable, maybe not. But what about last year? Or the year before? Or the year before that? A week ago, it wasn't September 18th. It was September 11th. And then we stop. And we remember. Perhaps you were at work, or having morning coffee, or planning a trip, as I was, intending to fly to Vancouver to see my only surviving aunt on her 85th birthday. What has happened in those 19 distant, yet so close years? What has happened to the United States, to us? We wanted to know then, and we really still do want to know, how this could have happened. How could the world have become so evil? Now, evil is not a word I use often. It reeks with power and malevolence. And yet, there it is. I think the evil we felt, and perhaps the evil we feel at times since, came from people who pushed God from their hearts. Today, we're in the midst of another kind of evil, an evil of person against person, white against black, fascists against Jews, rich against poor, native born against immigrants, and so many others that you and I both could name. We wanted to know then, and we still want to know now, where was God? Don't think because I'm a rabbi that I have an answer. But in looking for an answer, I turned to Martin Buber. When he was asked that very question, where was God? About the Holocaust, he said that God was not in the Holy Ark, that God was not in the Torah, that God was not in the prayer book, God was not in the sanctuary. God was in the very tiny word of Hebrew, Bain. Bain means between. God is wherever there is a connection between two people. On 9/11, between the firefighters and the victims, between the plasma donors and the nurse, between the ambulance driver and the COVID-19 patient, between any two people who care for one another. We, by our actions, either drive away God and allow evil, or bring God's presence, the Shekhinah, into the world. This year, Rosh Hashanah isn't early, and Rosh Hashanah isn't late. Rosh Hashanah is right on time. This year, maybe like every year, but surely this year, we need Rosh Hashanah. We need a new year of peace and goodness and love and justice. We search for peace and spirit and hope. We hope to connect with the core of goodness in the universe. We have hope for so many things, it seems almost embarrassing to name them. I will have more to say about this tomorrow morning. In the meantime, we must have hope that through the words of our prayer book, through the melodies of our tradition, that we can, in fact, find space for renewal so that the closing words of Psalm 23 will, in fact, become true. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Rabbi Israel Salanter once spent the night at a shoemaker's home. Late at night, he saw the man working by the light of a flickering candle. "Look how late it is," the rabbi said. "Your candle is about to go out. Why are you still working?" The shoemaker replied, "As long as the candle is burning, it is still possible to mend." For weeks after, Rabbi Salanter was heard repeating the shoemaker's words to himself. As long as the candle is burning, it is still possible to mend. As long as the candle burns, as long as the spark of life still shines within us, we can mend, we can heal, we can seek forgiveness and reconciliation, and we can begin again.
We continue with the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא עשנו לשומרי האדמה, והוא שמנו לשליחי התורה, שהוא שם חיינו איתם, וגור עלינו עם כל העולם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. May the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when lies and bigotry shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. So may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Hello. I'm Tova Soit. I'm on the board of HaYam, and I serve as your treasurer. Thank you for joining HaYam for our Erev Rosh Hashanah service. Your participation and financial support of our Havurah for the past 33 years and into the future has and will continue to enable us to be a Jewish presence on Cape Cod. We thank you. Our High Holy Day services will continue tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Lashana Tova.
These things I know, how the living go on living, and how the dead go on living with them. So that in a forest, even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through the cracks, and the trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it, and in the spring the rabbits find it and build their nest inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature or in love. We will have time on Yom Kippur for all of us to name all of our dear ones who have died in this past year. But tonight, I want to name those in HaYam's family who have died since last Rosh Hashanah. Jake Vanderkar, grandson of Mark and Sandy. Julius Cremisi, husband of Annette. Marlene Karp, Elda Pavone, mother of Robert, Anna Quinlivan, granddaughter of Sue and Miles Marcus, Bruce Wolf, husband of Cheryl, Alice Weiss, wife of Mark, Elaine Alford, sister of Bernice Simon Wilson and Millie Beer. And a prayer before the prayer of Bordes Kaddish. Adon HaRachamim, dear God of mercy, in the coming year, Tach lanu sha'ar, ve'ein nilat sha'ar. Open the gates for us, open them wide. The gates to hugs and unmasked faces. The gates to our homes and tea with a friend. The gates to visit with grandparents and our family, wherever they may be. Open the gates for us, open them wide, that we may once again see your face, not only in prayer, but in the full-faced smiles of those we hold dear. Bordes Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yishtabach shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kariv, v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, la'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitdaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudshah v'rechu le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rava min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'bramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen.
We conclude with Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra et nasa b'chefso kol azay melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hove v'hu yeh betifara v'hu echad ve'en sheni להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו Afkid ruchi, ve'edishan bi'aira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li, ve'lo ira.
Cantor, I wonder if you will join me, as well as the congregation, in the blessing for the new year. And for the congregation, you can choose either to be responsive with me or responsive with the congregation. And if you will notice the words, this is the first of the alphabetics that we have for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So we're starting off on the good ones before we get to the bad ones next week. Hannah, do you want to start or do you want to respond?
My God, this is big choice. I'm going to start this year, Rabbi. I like A. My last name starts with A. I'm going to go with that. Our God our God and God of all generations before us, may it be your will in the coming year to grant us a year of abundance and atonement,
A year of blessings bestowed and received,
a year of community and compassion,
a year of delight and exaltation,
a year of enlightenment,
a year of friendship and forgiveness,
a year of going up in gladness to the land of Israel,
a year of health and healing and humor,
a year of inner strength and well-being,
a year of joy and Jewish celebration,
a year of knowledge and learning for its own sake,
a year of love between parents and children, friends and spouses, brothers and sisters,
a year of mitzvot and moments of sweetness,
a year of nature protected and enjoyed,
a year of optimism and hope,
a year of peace pursued with perseverance,
a year of quiet and tranquility,
a year of rain in its season,
a year of song and spiritual growth,
a year of Torah study and tikkun olam,
a year of understanding and unity,
a year of vows fulfilled and violence overcome,
a year of wisdom acquired and shared,
a year of coexistence among the families of earth,
a year of young and old reaching out to one another,
a year of Zion, aglow with light for us and for all the world. Our God and God of the generations before us, grant us a year of gratitude to you for the most profound of blessings, your gift of life.
Amen.
יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, שתחדש עלינו שנה טובה ומתוקה. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives in this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year. Shana tova tikatevu v'techatenu. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year.
L'shana tova tikatevu, l'shana tova tikatevu, tikatevu v'techatemu.
And we have to hug each other.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
I'm giving you a high five.